Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 Foot Cock, ladies and gentlemen. Today is going to be the start of the 48 episode rise and fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru is the greatest MMA YouTuber to ever walk the planet, ladies and gentlemen. He's the greatest YouTuber that ever was, ladies and gentlemen. Currently, he's the greatest MMA YouTuber, and soon was the greatest YouTuber on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a precursor for the was of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. 48 episodes coming up, ladies and gentlemen. We've been working on this since October 2024, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru has been warned many times. If you watch his UFC Seattle, the first hour, ladies and gentlemen, live stream, and watch him cry. The night before that, he watched a Simon Feck live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Right after that, he went and did a 10-hour live stream, like it was going to be the last live stream he ever did, ladies and gentlemen. Then after that, he erased live streams from his YouTube channel. And then a little bit after that, he came on late for the UFC Seattle live stream, crying his eyes out, ladies and gentlemen. He thought it was over then. All he had to do was apologize. He's done several videos on Simon Feck. He'll deny it, but we will prove that throughout the course of the 48 episode of the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, you heard it here from Simon Feck, 1 Foot Cock, ladies and gentlemen. Now, normally we go around the room in the middle of the video, ladies and gentlemen, but this is very important to do this at the beginning of the video, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody here in this room has a part in the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, right here, right in front of me, next to the money machine, ladies and gentlemen, $7.7 billion, the money machine, right here, ladies and gentlemen. You see it right here? Standing next to the money machine, ladies and gentlemen, Dana White. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Dana White. Right over here, the lady right next to me, Lenee Breckenridge, ladies and gentlemen. Lenee Breckenridge is the right-hand woman of Dana White. Falling down over there is Cody Big Mo Momarts. Guess what? We're not going to pick him up. He fell down over there, ladies and gentlemen. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, Conor McGregor with an 8-ball, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Over here in the dark over here, a big part of the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen, right here in purple, Nina Drama, ladies and gentlemen. Right by her side, a main character in the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru. Next to Nina Drama right here, ladies and gentlemen, Bryce Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen. And in the back, the big guy right here, Big Ben Rothwell, ladies and gentlemen. The former UFC star, ladies and gentlemen, now, currently, the BKFC champion, ladies and gentlemen, heavyweight champion. In the ring, ladies and gentlemen, a big part of the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. The 48 episode documentary of the big guy himself. You see him right back here, ladies and gentlemen. In the ring right here, taking center stage, Moss from the MMA Holes, ladies and gentlemen. Right down there on his knees in front of Moss, ladies and gentlemen. Clown Show Live. Clown Show Live, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Arkansas himself, Ark. Clown them all, whatever his stupid name is. Begging for his life down there, ladies and gentlemen. The referee right here, ladies and gentlemen. Giuliani Argenti, ladies and gentlemen. Giuliani Argenti, ladies and gentlemen. The blonde guy right over here, Lucas Tracy. The guy in pink down there, the Sewer King, a.k.a. Jose Youngs, from MMA Fighting on SBN, ladies and gentlemen. He plays a crucial part in the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to explain everything today. We're just going to dedicate this show today. This show today is dedicated to Dana White and Lenee Breckenridge, ladies and gentlemen. Matter of fact, the complete documentary, the 48 episode documentary of the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, is dedicated to Dana White and Lenee Breckenridge, ladies and gentlemen. And Nina Drama. Okay, going around the ring again. Right here. This guy right here. Lorenzo Predicts. That's right. He's got a major part in the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru. Right back here, ladies and gentlemen. The big penis himself, ladies and gentlemen. Denis Shakuratov. That's right. From Submission Radio, ladies and gentlemen. The guy has a YouTube channel, and it's called Radio. I mean, the guy's living in the dark ages, ladies and gentlemen. He was going to come on the Simon Feck show here recently and strung Simon Feck along for 2 weeks with many confirmations that he's going to come on and be interviewed by Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen. But guess what? He backs out at the last minute, ladies and gentlemen, as he continued to work on all the stuff that he's going to put out on YouTube. We, the Simon Feck team, with the Ash, ladies and gentlemen, and the Simon Feck team has a champion, ladies and gentlemen. Let's Go Champ 2023, ladies and gentlemen. The Simon Feck team consisting of 3. You heard it, 3. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So here you go. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, holding the microphone for Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen. Denis Shakuratov. Don't have much to say about him, but anyways, let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to see greatness. You are going to learn, ladies and gentlemen. This is for informational tutoring, the why and the why not, and the should and the should not, and what was and what shouldn't be, and all of those scenarios, ladies and gentlemen. The rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. Now listen here. Listen here, MMA Guru. It's fair game, ladies and gentlemen. MMA Guru, it's fair game, remember? It's fair game. It's fair game. Just like this picture of Dana White right here, fair game. It's fair game on top of fair game, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we set the scenario up. Sit back. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A, a little trivia of why this video is made, ladies and gentlemen. See if you can point it out. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we got to start over because this is where the documentary is going to start, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, ladies and gentlemen. sit back, buckle in, and get ready for the rise and the fall of the greatest MMA YouTuber ever to live, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we're talking about the MMA Guru. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the MMA Guru started out his YouTube channel with an unfair advantage, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You can't get it. You can't obtain it. But the MMA Guru did. Let's find out what it is, ladies and gentlemen, and watch this incredible rise of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen, and the demise of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. And right here it is. This is it. Check it out. This is not exactly demise, ladies and gentlemen, but this is what put the nail in the coffin, ladies and gentlemen. He finally put it out. This is strictly to you, Dana White. And take note, Lenee Breckenridge. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let's jump into it. Let it play, ladies and gentlemen.
Crazy news just broke that all UFC fans around the world need to know about, so that's what we're going to go through in today's video. The UFC has just signed a $7.7 billion broadcast deal with Paramount to make Paramount Plus the new home of the UFC starting in 2026. Crazy. The number is crazy. 7.7 billion over 7 years is insane. That's 1.1 billion per year for all you math blasters out there. But that's absolutely insane, the number, and the fact that it's with Paramount as well is also a bit of a curveball. People weren't thinking it was going to be. That came out of nowhere. Fans in the US, because this isn't all of it. We've got a lot more to go through in today's video because there's a lot more components to this deal. Fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model.
Without a pay-per-view model, ladies and gentlemen. Now, just keep that in mind. Keep that tucked away in your head, ladies and gentlemen. The pay-per-view model, ladies and gentlemen.
No more pay-per-views. Now, I know what you're going to say. Real UFC fans over the past year know there hasn't been a pay-per-view since UFC 300. But
now, listen, the MMA Guru, he thinks he's funny. Yeah, basically, he's funny, but it's not all that funny. If you haven't noticed already, and when you find out the answer later on, this video is not only to you, the fans, ladies and gentlemen, it's a taunt. It's a taunt to the big guy right here, Dana White. And it isn't only just a taunt to Dana White, it's a taunt, believe it or not, to Simon Feck, 1 foot cock. That's right. You'll figure it out.
now there's no more. You may have thought there's not been a pay-per-view since UFC 300, but trust me, guys, now there's no more. Those were considered pay-per-views. Now there's just no pay-per-view in general. You're not going to pay once a month for a big fight with all of the title fights on there. That's...
See, notice how he says paid. You pay out money for pay-per-views, right? Right? That means somebody's selling it. Somebody's selling the pay-per-view. Somebody's buying the pay-per-view. It's called business. And let me tell you something. Some people sue people over business. That's right. Some people actually go to jail over, let's say, business. Okay?
just going to be a part of the monthly subscription service, which is really good overall for affordability. So...
yeah, so he's talking about, affordability. Affordability, talking about pay-per-views. Okay?
What this means in terms of payment to a lot of fighters that have just signed deals, especially the big-name fighters that may have signed deals on the incentive of pay-per-view shares, I don't know what it means for them. I guess that's going to be the next meme to come out. Fighters feel like they've been done wrong with their contract. I was earning more with the pay-per-view percentage. This is going to turn into the sponsorship thing. I feel like where people are going to talk about the pay-per-view era and how much champs are making. Who knows what they're going to do to adjust the payment based on this. But it's making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. And that much is true. It's always been this way outside of North America, right? right? Outside of the US and Canada.
It's always been this way outside of the United States and Canada, says the great one, the MMA guru. That's right. Yeah. All right. Hold on a second.
I mean, TNT Sports is the subscription service in the UK. It used to be BT Sport. Now it's TNT Sports. I pay once a month. I get all the fights with that monthly fee. I don't even know what it is. I think it...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, ever since January this year, the MMA Guru came out with a video of all of the great things that he did in 2024, right? So he mentions a few things we'll get to, but one thing he definitely mentioned was that he had an inside the apex. So Simon Feck gets a hold of the MMA Guru. And ever since then, ever since January, the MMA Guru, whenever he can and every chance he gets, and sometimes makes it up so he'll have the chance, just brings it out of nowhere that he pays for his pay-per-views. He never used to do that. Now, all of a sudden, since January, the MMA Guru is going around saying that he pays for his pay-per-views. Listen, a bank account can tell a lot. Just like this guy right here, the Sewer King, a.k.a. Jose Youngs. A bank account can tell a lot. Okay?
It's $30-something a month. I'm not even sure. I think I can get it as a business expense because this is technically my work to buy the UFC cards.
There he goes again right there. He's got to point out that he pays for it.
Either way, this is absolutely crazy information, and we're going to go through more in today's video. Pay-per-views are over. UFC announces a new deal with Paramount, $7.7 billion for 7 years. All numbered events will be on CBS for free. That's not true. Or is it? I feel like there's an event, I think on CBS they're going to do like 4 a year, like they do the UFC on ABC cards. So no, not all numbered events. Well, maybe all numbered events will be on CBS. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but
nothing like getting, go ahead and watch it ahead of time, get your thoughts together, and instead of rambling on and trying to figure it out, right in front of your audience. But that's why the MMA Guru is the greatest MMA YouTuber ever to live and the biggest fall of an MMA YouTuber ever seen. It's unprecedented. It's coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming.
I notice this, the way that they used to have UFC on ABC this, UFC on ABC Abu Dhabi, UFC on ABC where they did Holloway versus someone, I think, on one of those cards. I think it might have been a Holloway versus Cater card, if I'm not mistaken. But they've had a bunch of UFC on ABC, this and that. That's now going to be UFC on CBS, and that will be the new equivalent. Apparently they're going to do 4 events a year live on CBS. And then there'll be the pay-per-views, and then there'll be the other events. Pay-per-views now dead. All events will be available as part of a subscription. The UFC and ESPN partnership is over. That's crazy. I never thought the UFC-ESPN partnership... Well, I did think it was going to come to an end, but I didn't think it was going to come to an end in the way of Paramount Plus.
Everything comes to an end, MMA Guru. MMA Guru, everything comes to an end eventually. You listening to me, MMA Guru? Everything comes to an end eventually. Everybody knows that. Right, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, everything comes to an end eventually, right? That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the rise and the fall of the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. Keep watching.
That was out of nowhere. I thought that they were deep in the depths of Prey and John Jones would stick around for the Aspinall fight so they could get a Netflix deal done. Maybe.
This guy right here, the greatest MMA YouTuber ever to live, had a lot to do with the John Jones and the Tom Aspinall fight not coming to fruition, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Have you seen the videos that the MMA Guru did on John Jones? And then the partnership, the friendship of Tom Aspinall? Tom Aspinall has nothing to do with the MMA Guru anymore. The MMA Guru has nothing to do with DDP. Simon Feck told DDP a long time ago, you got to stay away from this guy. You got to stay away from this guy. Have you ever heard the MMA Guru? He says it often too, as well as he says, hey, I pay for my pay-per-views, okay? But have you heard the MMA Guru talk about DDP not responding to his calls? That's right. That's not what I was going to say. Let's cut that part out. Forgot where I was, ladies and gentlemen. Mike and Scott, you gotta cut that last part out. Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard, besides the MMA Guru not paying for his, excuse me, cut that part out too. Ladies and gentlemen, besides the MMA Guru now claiming that he pays for all of his pay-per-views, ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the MMA Guru going around saying, I forgot what it is. We're wasting time here again. You got to be kidding me, man. Ladies and gentlemen, besides the MMA Guru now claiming that he pays for all of his pay-per-views, ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the MMA Guru also claiming that he thinks that the UFC is after him? He goes around saying, yeah, I believe that the UFC is after me. Yeah, he said it to Mighty Mouse, the Mr. Cheese, the one that MMA Guru says he could kick his ass. Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson, the MMA Guru goes around saying he could kick your ass. And now he's sucking your balls. It's incredible. But anyways, yeah, so the MMA Guru goes around saying that the MMA Guru goes around saying that he thinks that the UFC is out to get him. Well, guess what? When you do a video like this, see, we're going to start over.
The fact that Jones retired, Netflix just went, yeah, we're out, kid. We're done. You can take Paramount. Or maybe Paramount just forked up a shit ton of money. I can't remember the name of the company that forked out a shit ton of money for South Park recently. It might have been Paramount. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Universal. I'm not sure what it was, but some promotion. But these guys are forking out a shit ton of money, 7.7 billion. This next post is going to really hit home why that's so crazy to me. Dana White, after signing a 7-year, 7.7 billion deal with Paramount, and he's laughing, this is the Mayweather meme with all the money, 7.7 billion in this current climate of the...
Now pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the MMA Guru is the greatest MMA YouTuber on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. It's also the reason why the MMA Guru is the worst MMA YouTuber on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru certainly knows how to stick that big fat foot in his face, ladies and gentlemen, right down his throat and that big fat mouth of his, ladies and gentlemen.
UFC. He might be the greatest businessman of all time. Now, hold on a second here. I don't think Dana's orchestrating the fucking deal, okay? But crazy business move from Dana White. And
you talk about a crazy business move? MMA Guru, this is a crazy business move for you. This entire video, right here. Because Simon Feck's in the Apex, dude. You know that. I mean, you've done a couple videos on me. You just didn't put me in the title. This is a bad business move for you, and you know it. You know that the clock is ticking out, but guess what? The clock isn't ticking out. You think you have a high IQ going around bragging about your high IQ? You don't understand that the YouTube rules are forever. There isn't like an expiration date, like on some crimes.
You know why it's crazy? And this is why it's so impressive that they've got this $7.7 billion deal. If you were to ask, maybe until like Tapuria beat Oliveira, before that moment, if you were to ask the average UFC fan what they thought about the UFC, they would probably say it's the worst it's ever been. This is the worst it's ever been. It feels like they're mistreating us. All of the things that we've been saying as fans are the type of things that maybe would sway away a $7.7 fucking billion investment for a broadcasting deal from Paramount Plus. But no, Paramount Plus is seeing the negative reaction of fans every single fucking fight card and thinking, we want in on this, okay? So let's not start not...
Now, is he being facetious? Well, guess what? Simon Feck is not being facetious, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the MMA guru sticking his fat foot in that fat mouth of his, ladies and gentlemen.
Roasting the fucking quality of the cards. Now, Paramount's around. They wanted the UFC fan experience. They're going to get the UFC fan experience. Either way, I wanted to hit home that I highly doubt Dana White is the one that's in this business meeting breaking down all of these events.
I'm telling you that right here. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the great stuff right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. This is the MMA guru. This is why he's the best, ladies and gentlemen. It's also part of his demise, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I mean, you can't be good. You can't be too good, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember that. That's going to be a lesson at the end. All right, try to figure out. It's coming. Try to figure out the trivia question for the end of this video, ladies and gentlemen.
There's just something about it that makes me think that Dana White is not the man calling the shots in the business room. I like to imagine a world where, and here's where we go into my imaginary worlds, where they're all in a business room and they're all talking about what they're going to do and what kind of deal they're going to break, and all the big wigs are there. Hunter Campbell's there with his hand on his chin, sort of going, They're all pondering stuff. We could chuck in this, and I want to know that I want to have an understanding that Dana White was not on the forefront, that instead was on like a kid's table in the corner of the business room, saying, "You guys don't want to buy Power Sweat?" I really hope that's how this went down.
Man, I mean, that is great. That is great. That's that right there. The hand of truth, ladies and gentlemen. I acquired this from the Sewer King, ladies and gentlemen. The good buddy, the good friend of MMA Guru. The hand of truth, right? Yeah, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, right here, the MMA Guru should have pulled out the hand of truth right there, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru is the greatest MMA YouTuber ever, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. All right. Let it play.
They were saying, yeah, you know, we'll do an event, 4 events a year, we're saying on CBS. You guys, I mean, when are we going to, make it $8 billion, I'll chuck in Power Swap, you guys. And then the guys are like, Paramount are like, no, we're good, Dana, we don't.
That's great. Oh, my God. Only the MMA Guru could think of something so funny and entertaining like that and bury himself. I mean, it'll take like the biggest backhoe, on the planet to bury the MMA Guru. But ladies and gentlemen, he's burying himself. He's burying himself good, ladies and gentlemen. He is burying himself good, ladies and gentlemen. He thinks that the UFC is out to get him. I mean, I wonder why. I mean, he's saying that Nina Drama's a plant. And then lately, have you heard the MMA Guru says that people are claiming that he's a plant? No, you don't start out, doing what he did, which is going to be later on in one of the 48, it's going to be in all 48 episodes, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to that one. But anyways, the MMA Guru is the greatest YouTuber ever, ladies and gentlemen. Just go ahead, just keep taunting Dana. Keep taunting Dana. Keep taunting the Simon Feck. Maybe Simon Feck's a plant. Let's see. You said you think that the UFC is out to get you. And Simon Feck comes along right after the Amy Kaplan incident where your buddy Jose Youngs that was feeding you information, because it's on your January video that you had, an inside in the Apex, the Sewer King that went on the MANEATER song. That was a dig on Nina Drama. And Nina Drama was sticking up for Amy Kaplan, but Amy Kaplan didn't tell Nina Drama that her boss is Jose Youngs, a.k.a. Sewer King. The Sewer King went on the song where a lot of your ideas are in there, and then you had an inside in the Apex. Do you know that there's very few people in the Apex? It's under 100 people. It isn't like we're talking about 5,000 people. There's very few people. Who was your inside in the Apex? Hey, Dana White. The hand of truth has now tapped the head of Dana White. Dana White, who do you think was the inside source for the MMA Guru in the Apex? Well, here, guys. Yeah, what I'm going to think it's got to be Jose Youngs, the only one dumb enough to do anything like that. Well, that's right. There it is, the hand of truth. Let's untap it. Now he's back to normal Dana White. I mean, who can't figure out that the inside source that the MMA Guru had, that he goes around telling? That's one thing, too. Don't tell the MMA Guru anything. And Money Moicano. Money Moicano goes around telling everybody that Mick Parkin is the MMA Guru's cousin. We'll get into all that later on in part of the 48 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck is not a plant, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, you guys. I got these cups made. You guys seen my power slap cups? What? You guys don't want power slap? You guys are fucking... I mean, come on, you guys. And he's just sitting there sort of like swinging his legs in a chair that's too big for him in the corner of the business room. I want to believe that's how this whole thing went down.
Now, right there, the MMA Guru is the greatest and the worst MMA YouTuber ever, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru is taking on Dana White. And Dana White's loyalty to the UFC, the company that he built. I mean, why would you do that? The greatest MMA YouTuber on the YouTube platform is taunting Dana White. Plain and simple. That's why the MMA Guru is the greatest MMA YouTuber on the planet, ladies and gentlemen.
And only after they were able to shut up Dana's requests of them making a power slap arrangement into this deal where he could get that in there as well. I want to believe that only after that was shut down could they proceed with business. And they got this deal done without Dana White. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Dana was at the forefront here. Maybe he was the criminal mastermind of this whole situation. We've got a lot to go through again, though. Dana White put out his own statement. Dana White also had like a picture of himself, if I'm not mistaken, with a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah, so it's fair game. You know, the picture with the cigar in the mouth and everything, that's fair game. This statement right here, that's fair game. It's fair game, MMA Guru. It's fair game.
I do believe. And this is where it begins. But this is where he posted on Instagram. This historic deal with Paramount and CBS is incredible for UFC fans and our athletes. We're going to get into how good it is for athletes soon. For the first time ever, fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model. Very good. Making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. This deal puts the UFC amongst the biggest sports in the world. The exposure provided by the Paramount and CBS networks under this new structure is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who watches and loves the sports. I mean, odds on Dana, Chat GPT and that, because that don't sound like Mr. Krabs. That don't sound like Mr. Krabs to me. This is Chat GPT. I just don't buy it, dude.
Mr. Krabs. Oh, you're going to find out who Mr. Krabs is, MMA Guru. MMA Guru, you're going to find out who the Mr. Krabs is, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the MMA Guru is going to find out who Mr. Krabs is real soon, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, you heard it here from Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru is going around saying that Dana White, he's Mr. Krabs. The greatest YouTuber of all time, the MMA Guru, is going to find out who Mr. Krabs is real soon.
I don't want to give Dana his full flowers. I'll give him one. I'll give Dana a flower, maybe two. So plurally, technically, I've given him flowers. But I'm not going to give him a bouquet. That just ain't...
Well, Dana White's going to give you more than flowers, you big fat turd. And by the way, today's show is sponsored by a big tub of lard, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, the Simon Feck Show is sponsored by a big tub of lard. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to go out and pick up a big tub of lard, ladies and gentlemen. We got a reminder right here, ladies and gentlemen. You see that picture? You see it right here? That's your reminder right there. That's your code. When you go into the store to get your discount, just take a picture, little Snapchat, little picture of the big old fat face right there, ladies and gentlemen. That'll get you 50% off, ladies and gentlemen.
Happening here. I sense Mr. Krabs has used some Chat GPT to type out things like making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know if that was at the forefront of Dana White's mind when making this deal. But either way, 7.
I'll tell you what is going to be on the forefront of Dana White's mind. It's going to be the MMA Guru after this video, ladies and gentlemen. And after the 48-episode documentary of the rise and the fall of the greatest YouTuber ever, the MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen.
0.7 billion is a crazy number. I want to bring up this. And this is actually why I needed earphones for this bit. Hang on a second, I'll be back. So this I wanted to go to next, because this is a interesting thing to look back on in hindsight, now that it's just a subscription service and they're not doing pay-per-views anymore. This was Dana White, who was flexing and acting like a mafia boss, basically, around stalking an illegal streamer before Poirier versus McGregor 2. So a while ago now. And I just wanted to play this clip of Dana White talking about this streamer, okay, that he's caught, and how big of a problem. I want to get across how big of a problem Dana White had with streaming in the UFC and how you should have to pay for the pay-per-views. Only to hit us with a no pay-per-view deal just a couple years later is crazy. But we're going to let this bit play.
Yeah, so there's no audio here.
Said that, you have all these people are criminals. You know, and the internet, makes it look like these guys are good guys. These guys are bad guys, and what they do is a lot of these guys will put up these links and say, hey, check out, we'll give it to you for free and all this stuff, and they steal your information.
Like pretty much every government on earth now when it comes to the internet. All good.
Now, this is very important right here. Everybody pay attention to this right here, ladies and gentlemen. Ha ha!
Number one. Number two, when I came out and said this, all these guys started taunting me. So I went through, and I said, you.
It was Paramount. It was Paramount the whole time. He didn't even realize. Dana White was going through all these streamers, finding ways to not have people pay for the pay-per-view, and he went, you, Paramount Plus, bring it in, buddy. Time for a $7.7 billion deal. I swear that might be how it went down.
Oh, man, ladies and gentlemen, taunting. We're talking about taunting. Your greatest MMA YouTuber of all time is taunting Dana White. Dana White, you hear this? You hear this, Dana White? This is the big fat tub of lard, the MMA guru, taunting you. Taunting. Unbelievable. This is why the MMA guru is the greatest and the worst MMA YouTuber of all time, ladies and gentlemen.
You're the guy.
You're the guy, Paramount Plus.
And I told my people, I want this guy. And guess what? We got him.
They never got him, but you ain't getting... I'm not going to say their names loud and fucking proud.
Whoa, baby! Yeah! 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 Dana White, you see that? The MMA guru is taunting you. The MMA guru is taunting you, Dana White. You hear me? The MMA guru is taunting you. You hear me? The MMA guru is taunting you. Lenee Breckenridge. Listen here. Lenee Breckenridge, you need to bring this to Dana's attention immediately. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Simon Feck. Yeah, Simon Feck, what I'll do is I'll tell Dana White next time I see him.
No, that's not the correct answer, Lenee Breckenridge. Lenee Breckenridge, you have Dana White's phone number. You need to call Dana White immediately.
Okay, Simon Feck, I'll make sure I do that, okay?
That's right. Lenee Breckenridge, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Lenee Breckenridge. Ladies and gentlemen, Lenee Breckenridge, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful Lenee Breckenridge. Always pleasant. Very nice girl. Easy on the eyes, ladies and gentlemen. The right-hand woman of the Dana White, ladies and gentlemen. Dana White, the big money machine, $7.7 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, that is only the money he's going to be making in the future. This man sits on top of a money machine and has. Dana White created this. The MMA guru capitalized on BKFC and UFC pay-per-views, ladies and gentlemen. He's sitting here and he's taunting. You didn't catch him. You didn't catch him. You know, it's funny. It's like the cops pull a guy over, and he's got $3.4 million in his car, and he's got $120,000 worth of illegal drugs. He's in a stolen Ferrari, ladies and gentlemen. He's got 3 hot bitches in the car. I mean, stacked on top of each other in the side seat. He's got 3 mansions, 2 airplanes, jets, pilots, butlers. He's got everything in the world, ladies and gentlemen. And he's driving around in a stolen car with all this stuff. Pay people to do the other stuff. Oh, wait. Hold on. That's right. You know, talking about companies and smaller companies, and nobody ever caught the big guy. There's a big taunt here. Dana White, there's a big fucking taunt here. Let me say that again. Dana White, there's a big fecking taunt here. I mean, this is fecked up. This guy is taunting you. This guy is mocking you, Dana White. You hear? You listening? Lenee Breckenridge, make sure you listen up. This idiot.
I'm going to say their names loud and proud, because now we can say their names loud and proud. You ain't getting streamies. You ain't getting streams. Hey, 4 months left. I may have ruined it, but I'm sounding the fucking horns, dude.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, that's the statement that we were looking for, ladies and gentlemen. 4 months left. 4 months left. He thinks he's in the clear, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck has had him pinned since October 2024. The MMA Guru learned of Simon Feck in January 2025, ladies and gentlemen. You notice that the MMA Guru has been subdued a little bit. That's right. He's waiting for this. He's getting ready. He's getting ready to unbuckle his seatbelt, ladies and gentlemen, and climb out the roof and scream and start wrecking people's lives again. He's going to start before the 4 months is done. But guess what? The MMA Guru, with his high IQ, he doesn't understand the rules of YouTube. He does. He was scared. He was crying. He's been scared of Simon Feck. People they come to me. People come to me and they go, yeah, I was in the chat and I mentioned your name and then he banned me. And then other people go on and they'll spend money on a stupid super chat and say, hey, have you seen this guy Simon Feck? Oh, let me check him out. Oh, he looks disturbing. Yeah, he just looks disturbing. He doesn't go into any questions or anything. The MMA Guru knows who Simon Feck is. He's definitely going to know here real soon. I think that's Lenee Breckenridge calling right now. Ladies and gentlemen. Hello? Oh, hey, how you doing, Lenee Breckenridge?
Oh, doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm just calling. I was watching your video and about the MMA Guru and about him and pay-per-views and taunting Dana White and everything like that, and you saying that I'm, attractive and everything like that, Simon Feck. I really wasn't calling about, about Dana White or anything like that. I'll get with Dana White eventually, but I was thinking, hey, Simon Feck, I mean, you're a handsome bird and everything like that. I was just thinking, what are you doing tonight?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. Hold on a second. Listen, Lenee. Hey, Lenee. I'm in the middle of doing a video right now. Can I call you back?
Yeah, sure, you can call me back. Matter of fact, why don't you call me back as soon as you can, big guy?
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, all right, thanks. Lenee, I gotta go. All right, have Dana give me a call, okay?
Yeah, okay, all right. Bye-bye, Simon.
You ain't got streamies. You ain't got med streams. You ain't got none of the dogs, okay? People forget, man. MMA Core's been doing this shit for years. Okay?
Oh, so now he's got to bring in MMA Core. Listen to me, Dana White and Lenee Breckenridge. He is taunting, not what he just named right there. He is taunting you. He's taunting you. We got a 48-episode documentary. We got 1 hour of 48 hours of the big tub of lard, ladies and gentlemen. Sticking that big fat foot in that big fat face of his. Just think of the thought of that. Just think of what the big fat fecking gurus' big fat feet look like. Sticking that big old... Look at that big fat trout. God, hey man, he is hideous. Woo! You dug the hole. MMA Guru, you dug the hole. And now you're digging it deeper. The Simon Feck got sidetracked with the Sewer King because Simon Feck didn't know anything. I know I'm speaking in third person here. The Simon Feck didn't know anything about the Sewer King, even though he's working next to the Sewer King. And then the Sewer King talks to Amy Kaplan and Oscar Willis and Kenny And every once in a while he says, yeah, so people came in the chat and they were going, I know it's you, Jose Youngs, and stuff like that. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, Then, Kenny goes, hey, so where are you doing the show at? And he goes, I'm doing it in my hotel. The same hotel. Okay. So what kind of show is Jose Youngs doing in his hotel on Wednesdays after Media Day? I believe he's doing the Sewer King on Wednesdays. So he doesn't do it at his dad's house in Delaware. His mom lets him do it in Canada. Okay? His mom lets him do it. His mom lives in Canada. He lives with his daddy. He's like 56 years old or something like that. Living with his daddy. His daddy won't let him dress up like the Sewer King, so he does it at his hotel in Las Vegas on Wednesdays after Media Day. He shows up, the Sewer King shows up on Wednesdays with a beard that doesn't match the mustache, grown at 2 different times. And then when you see him, it depends if there's an event Wednesday night or Thursday night or whatever, but when you see him Friday, matter of fact, Thursday nights at the press conference. Maybe Friday night at the press conference, but Thursday nights. And the weigh-ins. And whatever it is. Then he doesn't have the beard anymore. Especially after he does the Sewer King one. Sometimes he doesn't do the Sewer King, and then he'll show up with the beard. We'll get into the Sewer King in the 48 episodes, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, buddy? We can be loud and proud about where we go for our streams. Hey, R.I.P. Crack Streams, though, dude. He was a real one. Maybe that's who Dana White got, but he was more of a conglomerate of a multitude of smaller businesses that were sort of thriving off of the same model that Dana White has a problem with. But
right there, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for the trivia question, right there, I mean, the big fat MMA guru with the big fat foot that he likes to stick in his big fat mouth, ladies and gentlemen, which created that big fat belly of his, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest YouTuber on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, the MMA guru loves. He's taunting Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen. He's taunting Simon Feck. He's taunting Dana White, ladies and gentlemen. I was there when Dana White, in the Apex, when Dana White stepped off of the platform where he gets interviewed for the post-fight, press conference, right? And somebody mentioned, like, hey, what about these streamers and everything like that? He's off camera, he's off mic, and he's walking back into this room by where the food is. He goes back that way most of the time. Not like out to where the front desk is, okay? So he's walking back there, and Lenee's with him, the beautiful Lenee Breckenridge. And Dana White says, yeah, we prosecuted 3. And one of them really hurt because he knew the person personally. And he was talking about a certain section in time. He wasn't talking about everybody that got prosecuted, okay? But the MMA guru thinks the game's over now. And the MMA guru thinks it's all cool and everything because he's established now. He's making money just on the YouTube set alone. He doesn't need the pay-per-views to make money anymore like some of these up-and-comers are. The rise and the fall of the greatest MMA YouTuber on the planet, ladies and gentlemen, the big fat MMA guru, ladies and gentlemen. This is the precursor, ladies and gentlemen, of a 48 one-hour each episodes from Simon Feck, 1 Foot Cock, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you real soon. They've been in the making since October 2024, ladies and gentlemen. We were going to release them around Easter this year. 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Remember, 6 minutes and 2 second video. Go ahead and type that in. Type in MMA Guru 6 minutes and 2 seconds. You know, like 6.02. Type that in. Also, yeah, we were going to put these videos out around Easter. But we got sidetracked with the Sewer King. The Sewer King's not on YouTube anymore. We just report on the stuff. We don't, do the strikes or the stupid complaints or whatever like that. We don't need to. You need to talk to MANEATER Drama maybe about, why the Sewer King's not on YouTube anymore.
You know, you gotta respect all of these dogs, dude. And we have to put respect on the names of those. Okay? I'm talking.
You gotta put respect on the names of those and everything. Look at him taunting Dana White. This guy, he says that he has a high IQ, the MMA Guru. He says he has a high IQ. He thinks the game's over in 4 months. When you let's say you commit a murder. Okay? The murder was 3 months ago. You still get charged with it. The YouTube rules. The YouTube rules. You can't deceive people. Like getting subs. You can't deceive people. Like say if the MMA Guru said, "Hey, listen, I'll give you $100 if you just, push that button right there and subscribe to my channel." I'm not so sure that that's illegal on YouTube, but the way that the MMA Guru got his early subscriptions, ladies and gentlemen, and then later continue. Is that Lenee Breckenridge again, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Mike or Scott, any one of you guys, can you take that phone right there? Take that phone. Thank you.
Streamers, meth streams, buff streams, anyone under the umbrella of crack streams really is what I'm talking about here. I'm even talking way back when, okay? People forget, man, MMA Core, they used to hold it down back in the day. Okay, this is pre-McGregor era stuff, maybe lost on some of you, but this is when I was a kid. And MMA Core, man, let me tell you, when they used to upload round by round fights, and I used to be waiting there for round 2 to fucking come out, those were the fucking days. So let's not forget the real soldiers of the MMA community over the years that have saved you and me. Well, not me.
Wow, that was so funny there, MMA Guru. How you accidentally said, "Whoa, no," and me. Oh, and it was so funny, that recovery, when you said, "Oh, not me, I paid for my," oh, that was so funny.
Not me. You, they may have saved some of you out there, thousands. Okay, and they need to be put on because I feel like their clout's going to get taken away. It feels like what we're doing here is Paramount Plus is Ilya Tapuria. And they're putting him above certain goats of divisions on a goat list already. This is what's going on with the Paramount stuff. I don't want us to be an Armand Sarukian being above literal goats of a division on a goat list type of situation. You know what I mean? I don't want Paramount Plus coming along in this new era of the game and getting all this credit when the dogs have been fighting in the streets for us for many a decade. I just want to put...
He just wants to put that out there, ladies and gentlemen. Dana White, the fat man's taunting you. The man that calls you Mr. Krabs. Dana White, you're going to have to show the MMA Guru who Mr. Krabs really is, Dana White. Listen to this fat guy right here. He's taunting you. He thinks he's untouchable over there in England. Over there in England, like London, He ain't untouchable. Listen here, fat guy. This is Simon Feck to you, Mr. MMA Guru. You shouldn't have made this video.
Put that out there real quick. You ain't getting none of them, dude. And you didn't get none of them. You just fucking sold out to one of them that's bigger than the rest, is basically what this Paramount deal is. But I like it. I think it's good. Paramount deal is $1.1 billion a year for 7 years. ESPN deal was $214 million for 7 years. That's not true. 7.7 years for 7 years is actually wild. The ESPN deal was $1.5 billion for 5 years. So immediately we've got some contradictions here, some juxtapositions when it comes to the reporting here. And then this is the sentence I wanted to get into. Go get your money, fighters. Now, here's where I'm going to have something to say about this. And this is maybe going to be the realest fucking statement that anyone's going to have regarding the situation of the UFC selling to Paramount. How much the fighters are getting paid from this is the least of my fucking worries.
Do you hear that, DDP? DDP, we're friends, okay? We are friends. Think about your best friend in the Apex, okay? Here it is, right here. This man doesn't care about you, DDP. And also, we'll get into the fighter pay in here in just a little bit. I mean, this idiot right here, he has no imagination. He claims that he is like in the top percentage of IQ, ladies and gentlemen. And he can't figure out the fighter's pay. It takes 2 seconds to figure it out.
I don't give a fuck anymore. I just really don't give a fuck anymore. The inactivity over the past few years, we know what happened when fighters started to get a little bit more cash, a little bit more freedom to choose and do what they want. So we can talk about how this affects people getting pay-per-view shares. Maybe we'll get into that in a second. But I don't know if they should be expecting people to immediately jump to a 30 for 30 contract when they were earning 12 for 12 before. That's the least of my concerns. I'm not going to be one of these guys that sits here and goes, well, what about the fighters? And what about, how much are the fighters going to get out of this? I really don't care. I think they're overpaid already, and clearly, because most of them are sat out for years on end and being out-hustled in the gym by literal fucking millionaires in Ilya Topuria and Arman Sarukian.
Ilya Topuria is a great friend of Simon Feck, ladies and gentlemen.
Money is not the incentive in the sport, but the pay-per-view side of things is where things are going to get very interesting. What the fuck are these guys going to do now?
What are these guys going to do now? This guy is an idiot. He knows nothing about TV. Or you can say he knows nothing about the internet either. He should know. I mean, he should know, right? You know, he has videos out. When one video does 300,000 and the other does 1.2 million, you get paid more for the 1.2 million views, right? This guy thinks that nobody counts views on the internet. Nobody counts views on television. It's a thing called Nelson's ratings. At least here in the United States, it's based out of Clearwater, Florida. The Nelson ratings have been doing it since like 1960s or something. They calculate views. It's easier on the internet. But the television, they put little boxes. At first, they handed out cards and people had to fill out cards. I know about television. And I know about why the stuff's in the apex and why it's so lovable. You don't have to have a truck. But the MMA Guru is going to be like, what do you mean a truck? It's called a television truck, a mobile truck. We don't call it a TV truck. It's called a truck. At an arena, the arena insurance knows exactly how much to cut. Everybody knows exactly how much money to cut, what a promoter can afford at a concert, at a wrestling match, everything. Everybody just calculates and tries to get a little bit more money. The insurance is like the number one. Then you get the TV. The TV is going to be like, it's $1.25 a head. Okay? But if the TV people, could get like $2.50, they would. Everybody gets exactly what they think they could get. And the promoter is barely making money. There has to be an aftermarket, a pre-market of making money for at least musical events. If you take all of the expenses in a musical event that comes to, like, say, T-Mobile in Las Vegas, you sell it out. It doesn't mean that right there, all the money taken in with all the expense, with the insurance and everything else, you don't make enough money. You got to have sponsors on the outside. Selling out an arena is not the complete thing. You have to have sponsors. The fat guy right here, this fat guy right here thinks that fighters should have promotions on their pants. That's maybe back in the day. Television these days doesn't allow for a profit without sponsors. Everybody knows exactly how much money to take. You can't have these events if you don't have insurance. The insurance knows, hey, we're going to take 33%. The TV truck's going to take this amount. The arena's going to take this amount. The bus companies that shuttle people around don't really need it with, with the fighter thing. You just get some buses and everything, but we're talking about like musical events. Selling out an arena doesn't make a profit. He's talking about the controversial thing about the money. There's called guaranteed, and then there's the cap. It's going to be the same thing. All based on views. This idiot doesn't know. I don't know how they're going to calculate, fighters' pay and everything. It's the same fecking thing. It doesn't take a genius. Just like the MMA Guru makes all these videos about the media and about who's media and who's asking dumb questions and everything, especially at the the pre-fight press conferences. Those press conferences are set up for the fans. Yeah, you have the first 6, 7 questions asked by the media. Then after that, it's supposed to be all fans, but fans don't come up. So at the last minute, they got to ask people that don't have, questions prepared. And most of the people at near the end, they just volunteer just to have it. Because the fans won't come up. You would think there'd be 8,000 fans that would want to ask a question, but it's not true. The fat man doesn't know what he's talking about almost all the time. And then the fat man's going and taunting Dana White. What an idiot.
A lot of them have signed deals, multi-fight deals, especially the champions and the big names that aren't champions, like maybe in Israel Adesanya right now, or some of the others. A lot of these guys have signed deals where a pay-per-view share is a large reason as to why their deal is good.
Why don't you ask your buddy Tom Aspinall? Tom Aspinall should be able to answer this question right away. Oh, the news just sprung. It's the same deal. There's nothing changing. There's money to be played with. There's called viewership. This guy's an idiot. There's a high and there's a low. There's how much money that an advertiser is going to spend on it depending on how much the views are. An anticipated one would be like John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Of course, the advertisers are going to pay bigger. Everybody makes more money. This guy doesn't know shit. One thing he knows is he knows how to rise to the top, and he definitely knows how to plummet to the bottom, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, you might see some of these guys, and this is what the Twitter pages always post. Oh, so-and-so made $1 million for this fight. And I'm like, dude, no he didn't. He lives in a grand mansion, one of 5 that he owns. He didn't make $1 million, that's his show money. He gets like 5% of the pay-per-view share. So that would be like a large bulk of their money. You hear DC talking about this all the time, how he's still cashing checks from certain things. Even Uriah Faber from back in the day when he used to be on pay-per-views, he was famously on the McGregor, not famously for this, but this is where he said this famously. He was on McGregor's Tough season, McGregor Faber Tough, and he was talking about how he still gets money from one of his old title fights on pay-per-view. So a lot of money gets through, and McGregor was saying, rightfully so, you get your money tripped. You should only get your money when we feel we're paying you, yeah? And that's kind of what's going on.
Is that the way it is, Connor? Yeah, we finna do... Whatever. The MMA Guru doesn't know jack fecking shit.
On here. But I feel like it's just going to be a flat... This actually might look better for the UFC. And don't let him famous you.
Now listen, all of a sudden he says he doesn't care about the fighters. The inactive fighters and everything. Now all of a sudden he's going to be on the fighter side. All the fighters know not to do interviews with this guy anymore, and it's because of this video right here. This video right here. This is the precursor, the exposing. This is where Dana White's going to get ding! This is where Dana White's going to wake up right here, this video right here. You should have never did this video. The MMA Guru, you should have never did this video. This is the perfect one right here. The big taunt. You are taunting Dana White about the stealing of pay-per-views. You're taunting him. Oh, you ain't gonna catch me now. There's 4 months left. There ain't 4 months left. There's a lifetime left. At least with YouTube. You big stupid idiot. You big fat tub of lard. You know that Simon Feck has been here since at least January. And you were crying like a little baby at UFC Seattle. Your live stream for the event, the fight companion. Who wants a fight companion who's crying like a little baby because he's going to lose his business? And then Simon Feck took it easy on you. He said all you have to do is apologize to Nina Drama and Amy Kaplan. The big fat MMA Guru won't apologize to Nina Drama and Amy Kaplan. He doesn't really need to apologize to Amy Kaplan, but that's what Simon Feck says do. You know, because Amy Kaplan doesn't tell Nina Drama. Nina Drama went through a lot of heat sticking up for Amy Kaplan, but Amy Kaplan doesn't say that her boss, Jose Youngs, is the sewer king. This big fat guy right here. This big fat guy, he's going to get everything that he deserves. Simon Feck told this big fat guy right here, since he doesn't spend any of his money, so he says, I told him, you better hold on to that money because you're going to have to give that money back. He knows it. Now, he thinks the game's over now. That's why he's been so subdued this whole year. Hiding in plain sight from Simon Feck. Oh, it looks like Simon Feck's onto something new. The Sewer King thing was the same thing because it's tied to the MMA Guru and MMA fighting on SBN. Trey Brunritt and Jim Bankoff. You too, Mike Heck. You know what, Mike Heck? I think I'm going to abandon the Heck and the Feck show. That's right, Simon Feck now officially abandoning the Heck and the Feck show. The greatest show that never happened, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You can't stand up. You can't stand up to your boss, Alex, and tell him. I bet Alex knows too, doesn't he? I believe everybody knows. You got, like James Lynch. James Lynch won't report. Simon Feck, told James Lynch that Jose Youngs is the sewer king and he won't report on it. The MMA media needs to report on this. Oh yeah, we can't report on it. Do you know what's going to happen? Right here. This is what's going to happen. At the end of this year, Dana White's kicking all the media out. He could save the media. Dana White could still have the media, but there's no need for the media anymore. Not to spend that money on it like he does. When you got guys like Jose Youngs creating the sewer king, and the sewer king takes a dump on Dana White and his employee, Nita Drama, and his fighters like Marab and Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland happens to be a friend of mine. Matter of fact, almost everybody's a friend of mine, you know, so to speak. I know all of these people. They all come through the Apex, ladies and gentlemen. Unless it's like a Chicago card or something like that. Some of them evade. Simon Feck doesn't go to all the remote ones because there is a truck.
Big announcement, actually. This needs to be made because I know this is going to happen. Don't let them famoosh you. The show money, the purses that are published to the public will now be way higher than they were before. But the actual payment may be lower.
He doesn't know that for sure because it's going to be the same structure, ladies and gentlemen. This he's just a big idiot. He doesn't know anything. Wait till one of the 48 episodes of The Rise and the Fall of the MMA Guru comes out. As a matter of fact, I think it's in about 3 episodes. About when he talks about the media, the MMA media. He thinks he knows everything. He hasn't even been to a UFC card. How many of them has he not gone to that were called UFC London? What about, I mean, you get on a train, you go to a couple of the other ones in England. The fat guy doesn't know. The fat guy knows jack shit, ladies and gentlemen.
Even though the purse money, which is what's going to be revealed and what is revealed, is going to be way higher, they didn't used to show how much people made with the pay-per-view percentage. Now they're...
That's true. And they may or may not show it in the future. Because that's when you have the leverage of negotiation. If you don't post everything, there's like the negotiation happens behind the scenes. If somebody, like a fighter, comes up and they want to negotiate their pay, they'll go, well, hey, look, Money McConnell got this. Hey, look, Sean O'Malley got this. Hey, look, Israel Adesanya got this. I should get this. No. That is a dumb business move. Okay? It's going to be the same thing. Pay-per-view or TV. It's the same thing. It's like paying for a guest. Take a television show. And they have like a guest appearance. Somebody comes on as a guest appearance. How much does that person get paid, MMA Guru? The fighters are guests on the show. It's simple. It's like a fucking pay-per-view, you fucking dumbass. Fat Feck.
Probably going to show everything, and it's going to seem crazy. Like, oh my god, he's making $5 million, this guy in a title fight? But just know that there's a little asterisk to that. But this overall is good, the cost is good. Ariel's weighed in on this. He was saying, while most fans are celebrating the death of pay-per-view, and rightfully so, it'll be interesting to see how UFC handles champions with pay-per-view. Exactly. X number of viewers, fascinating. Yeah, how are they going to measure that? If they don't do pay-per-views anymore, how are they going to measure that, right?
How do you measure, like, the Super Bowl? Supposedly the Super Bowl, or, I don't know, Indianapolis 500, you know, like worldly ones. How do they measure the viewership on that? This fat guy right here, this fat guy has no idea how stuff is measured. Oh man, oh my God, I can't fathom, how they're gonna know. Think about an advertiser. Don't you think the advertiser wants to know how many people it's gonna get to? When the advertiser spends their money, don't you think they want to know how many people it's going to come in contact with? But the MMA Guru is sitting here thinking nobody's going to know. Who knows? Who knows? It's the same thing, fat guy. Paramount pay-per-view. They both know how many people it reaches. Oh my God. I thought this was going to be a great video, but I mean, what I had in my head, and now what I'm saying as this is going on, it's just basically, this whole video is nothing but a big turd. And you know why it's a big turd? Because he just wanted to get out there that he's getting away with something. That's all he wanted. The rest of it, he didn't stumble on the part. He didn't stumble on the part about people stealing and making a business out of pay-per-view links. But he stumbled through all the rest. He couldn't wait to get this out to taunt Dana White. He didn't think any of the other stuff out. He's just thinking it out as it goes along. I think the MMA Guru is a little bit smarter than what he's portrayed. Excuse me. I think the MMA Guru is smarter than he has portrayed himself here. He just made a real quick video. Oh, I'm gonna taunt him right now. These guys have been after me since Simon Feck in January. No, it's been October 2024, fat guy.
They may just look at social media interactions and how many people are live during the fight, and I don't know. That's actually...
I mean, that's kind of how it's measured right now. Popularity. It's been popularity since day one. And I'm not talking about the UFC, I'm talking about anything in life. Any event. If the circus rolls through town, you're going to get some repeat customers, but if it was no good last year, it's going to reflect on the next year. Everything's popularity. And it always has been. And it always will be. It doesn't... What an idiot here.
Pretty interesting. I don't know how they're going to figure that new thing out. I guess it's going to have to just be like social media and how big of a star. I'm sure there's some fucking boomer way of calculating all of the numbers and finding an optimum number that represents how influential someone is, how important someone is to the business. So I guess that's where things are going to be going from now. But yeah, Paramount Plus subscription will include access to every event. $8 a month. is what some people are saying. Via CNBC. Oh, CNBC, CBS. Ah, that's what the difference was. That means you can watch every UFC card for as little as... I don't think they're the same thing, CNBC and CBS. Yeah, they're not. Just a bunch of fucking letters in all these fucking corporations.
The MMA Guru just wanted to come out and taunt Dana White. He doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. It was his perfect opportunity to come out and say, hey, look, Dana White, you didn't get me. You didn't get me, the big fat MMA Guru. You didn't get me, Dana. You didn't get the big fat MMA Guru, Dana. Dana, you didn't get me. Here I am, Dana. I'm screaming at you in this video, Dana. You didn't get me, Dana. You didn't get me, Dana. But the rest of this video, I don't know what the hell's going on. I didn't study anything. I didn't figure anything out. I didn't even think about any of it. I just wanted to come on and say, Dana White, you didn't get me. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's Simon Feck. I forgot about him. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest YouTuber of the MMA world, ladies and gentlemen. And the worst one, ladies and gentlemen. The big fat MMA Guru, ladies and gentlemen. This is the precursor, ladies and gentlemen, right here. That's all I got to tell you. The MMA Guru is a big fat turd that thinks he's smart and has an IIQ. But his ego is too big. The MMA Guru's ego is fatter than him, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru's ego is right here. It's swelling up, ladies and gentlemen. He's taunting Mr. Krabs himself. He's taunting Mr. Krabs himself, the big Dana White, the man leaning on the money machine, the $7.7 billion, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't even seen the deal. I mean, when I walk into Apex and go around and shuffle around some papers, the next time I get into, in the war room, I start shuffling around some papers, I'll look. The 7.7 is going to be the cap. There's always fluctuations in these. That's what this big fat guy doesn't know. He doesn't know nothing. Only thing he can do is retain stuff, okay? He can retain knowledge. Stupid knowledge. He can't figure anything out.
That means you can watch every UFC card for as little as $8 a month. That's pretty crazy pricing. Insane pricing. So that is very good. The UFC's deal with Paramount and CBS includes 43 events per year, 13 numbered events, and 30 fight nights, which I think is what the general standard is. I mean, it would be 43 events, which would...
43 events, which would... whatever. You see this picture right here? This picture right here of the cage, okay? When you buy a ticket and you go into the event, it's a televised... excuse me. When you buy a ticket and you go into the event, like any televised event, right? Unless otherwise specified. Every image in there that you don't take with your eyeballs into your head, every image that you take with a regular still camera, a video camera, it's all owned by whoever owns the rights, okay? You could take a picture and put it on Facebook. Like say that, let's say this is a Facebook picture taken from Facebook. It's inside the arena. It's a UFC event. The UFC owns this picture. I don't care where this picture came from. This is UFC property right here. It's fair game, MMA Guru. It's fair game. Play the game right, MMA Guru.
Be all but one. I mean, how many weekends would that miss? That would miss, what, 9 weekends of the year? 3 of which are probably going to be after December, so that would leave 6 months throughout the year that would be a fight card less than a full 4-week stretch of fight cards for the month. So it's pretty similar to the current. That's about the same, I would imagine, as what we currently have. Dana White, after securing the fucking deal, I know you weren't there on the front lines. I just feel like Dana wasn't there on the front lines, dude. Does anyone else feel that way about this? I think all the big heads, or the big wigs, sorry, are at the front of the table talking business, and Dana's there like, come on, you guys, you didn't see that SWAT the other day? We do more numbers in the NFL and the NBA combined. This should be an $8 billion deal. Yeah, all right, Dana, we're trying to do the deal here. Come on, you guys. I mean, you ain't seen have you ever been to a power slap event? I feel like he was there trying to push power slap the whole time. It should be mentioned that, his losing pay-per-view is actually good. I feel like that was the only thing forcing the UFC to try and occasionally stack cards. What's stopping them from just phoning it in from now every event? That's what they've been doing. Please tell me we aren't going to get Apex numbered events in a year from now. Apparently they're extending the size of the Apex as well, by the way. That needs to be mentioned, and we're probably going to get to that in these last few slides, but...
Yeah, that's been going on for some time. It was like a year ago. This is like breaking news from the big fat guy. That was like a year ago. And what you just seen there, the cigar in Dana White's mouth, ladies and gentlemen, that comment from the MMA Guru is just another step forward to the fall of the MMA Guru. Go ahead and keep taunting him. Go ahead and keep taunting him. Don't forget that you broke a lot more rules than you think you broke. The MMA Guru, you are definitely aware of everything. That's why you were crying during the UFC Seattle live stream companion, where you're taking all your live streams down, then later on you rebooted them back up or took them back up from private to public and added all that other stuff in there to kind of bury them. You watched Simon Feck stream the night before, and then you went on that 10-hour live stream, and everybody kept saying, what, you've been on here for so long. I mean, what's up? What's going on? You're just like, I don't know. You were doing that live stream for 10 hours because you thought it was going to be the last time you were going to be on YouTube. And then, now you forget. The MMA Guru has a short-term memory, ladies and gentlemen. And he thinks the game is over, that he's scot-free. Ladies and gentlemen, the big fat guru, ladies and gentlemen. Let me mention that, where's it at? Ladies and gentlemen, the big fat guru, ladies and gentlemen. And wake up. Hey, big guy. Wake up, you big fat turd. Hey, listen. The MMA Guru. You forget, man. You forget when you're crying like a little baby on public stream. Crying like a little baby. And then you're going to go and you're going to taunt Dana White like this? Oh, what an idiot, man. Big idiot. Don't poke the bear, MMA Guru. Don't poke the bear, you big fat whale. You just poked the bear.
Apparently they're actually extending the Apex size. So I hate the fucking Apex. Get out the Apex. But they love it, I guess.
MMA Guru doesn't know anything about insurance and trucks. TV trucks, video trucks. You don't need a truck. You don't need the higher insurance rate that arenas carry. It's called business. Kind of like the business you're in. The MMA, ladies and gentlemen, the MMA Guru was in the pay-per-view business, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You heard it here from Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru was in the pay-per-view business, ladies and gentlemen.
guess it makes it easier for the Contender Series as well. But I just feel like if it's not open to the public when it comes to making there more availability to the Apex, you just create a rich kids club in the crowd. You know, and I know that's what it already is with crowded arenas, is like a rich kids club of people who actually get to go there and have good seats. But if all the seats are good and there's a limited amount of them and there's high demand, it's just going to be going to the highest bidders and there won't be no proper MMA fans in the Apex crowd. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know what is stopping them from just phoning it in for every event now. They got their 1.1 billion a year. They don't need to try it for 7 years. They've got their lifeline. So I am concerned about that. I hope that they up the ante and we start getting better fights. But I guess that's going to come down to activity at the end of the day, man. These fighters are fighting once a year, clearly overpaid. And, yeah, it's interesting stuff. Dana White was also saying that the UFC plans to hold 4 big events per year under the new rights deal. I don't like this.
Why, you know, there's no audio right here. I just want to say that the MMA Guru is a big fat turd.
Oh, I didn't turn the fucking audio on. Oh, it's not recording audio. I played a clip before, and I'm going to have to go back and put the audio in.
What can you tell us about how much the UFC will be on CBS, linear TV, with the country watching?
Yeah, it's looking like we're going to do 4 big events a year, and, you know, we're talking about...
I don't like that, by the way. It's look.
Who cares what you don't like, MMA Guru? You just taunted Dana White. You just taunted Dana White. You know better, but your ego is bigger than your fat tub of lard. Body that you have, you big... Look at that big, huge head you got, too. That head is huge. You'd think there would be a brain in there that occupies it.
Like we're going to do 4 big events. Can we push for 5? Maybe 6? I think he's talking about being on CBS. So people might be looking at that headline and saying, 4 big events? What the fuck? That's more than we're getting right now. But I think he's talking about specifically on CBS. So when they're going to basically be the new oil princes of the UFC, where if they're having a card, Dana's like, trust me, we're going to get absolute goats on the prelims of that while we're left with dog shit on the regular fight nights. But, you know, maybe it'll be good. Maybe they'll be able to balance it. Maybe there's a... Is this the UFC hedging their bets against the idea that they don't really have any stars anymore? They have Ilya Tapuria, don't they? But they don't have any, like, superstars at the top, like Conor McGregor or... You know, imagine if, like the star Adesanya could have been if he was more consistently entertaining and won a bit more, I guess, as well.
Hey, DDP, your buddy here is saying you're not a star. Simon Feck says you're a star. Yeah. Hey, DDP, remember when you said when I come to South Africa, you know, I get to stay at your house? I'm coming, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck. Simon Feck's going to be hanging out with DDP, ladies and gentlemen. There goes. Is that... Hey, is that Lenee Breckenridge dinging me again? Mike. Oh, Scott. Who is that? All right.
Or Pereira, if he kept going and just knocked out Ankalaev. Like, there were so many stars on the horizon that just weren't quite there. I don't think Adesanya ever could have been that level of star, though. He's just too corny. But yeah, I just felt like the UFC was maybe hedging their bets away from that. Like, we don't have any stars. We're sick of trying to make stars out of these boring cunts that don't want to fight and are being absolute divas when they get to a top 5 of the division. These guys have never heard of a title elimination bout. They just sit there once they hit the top 5 and wait for their shot and wait for their champion to get round to him after 2 years of his fucking cycle of the division. Either way,
see, that's why the MMA Guru is the greatest MMA YouTuber of all time, ladies and gentlemen. He's correct here.
This is big. I just hope it's not... I hope they don't just focus on those ABC cards, or the CBS cards, sorry. Starting to get some more clarity on the breakdown of events from CBS and Paramount Plus. Dana White told CBS Sports HQ it's looking like 4 events. A year's on CBS, a year on CBS. So if my reading is correct, it sounds like 4 big numbered events on big CBS and the rest of the numbered shows on Paramount Plus, yeah. Which makes sense because they obviously want people to subscribe. Very true. Mark Shapiro hinted that the vast majority of the numbered shows would be on CBS, but this would make more sense. So 4 of the pay-per-views a year are going to be on CBS. That's the deal. Hunter Campbell confirmed an expansion of the Apex to accommodate 5,000 to 10,000 fans. That's pretty big, actually. That's bigger than I thought the expansion was going to be. And I do agree. I'm not just going to read Ariel's fucking opinion on it. I didn't realize that. I thought he was adding more information, but he's given an opinion.
Man, you could tell he quickly jumped into this video. It's clearly unlike all the other ones. He jumped as quick as he could in this one to taunt Dana White. Dana White, are you going to stand for this, Dana White? Hey, Lenee Breckenridge, make sure you tell him, okay? make sure you tell him. Dana White's not going to want to miss this one. The Simon Feck documentary. 48 one-hour-long episodes of the rise and the fall of the MMA guru, the greatest and the worst MMA YouTuber to ever walk the planet, ladies and gentlemen. You listening to me, Lenee Breckenridge? Huh? Ladies and gentlemen, Lenee Breckenridge.
I agree. I honestly agree.
I agree too. I agree that the MMA guru did a great job at taunting Dana White. Now let's see if Dana White steps up to the plate. Dana White, are you going to step up to the plate with the MMA guru, or are you afraid of the MMA guru? I'm pretty sure that Dana White's not afraid of the MMA guru, and I'm pretty sure Dana White's going to step up to the MMA guru for the taunt that the MMA guru laid upon Dana White. Everybody's looking at you, Dana White. The eyes are on you. The double eye emojis. Ladies and gentlemen, the double eye emojis. The double eye emojis they're all looking at Dana White right now from the taunting that the MMA guru has been doing to Dana White here on this video, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. It's about ready to slip out of my hands. That's why. It almost fell, ladies and gentlemen.
This is better. I just wish we were back in crowded events all the time. But, you know, we're splitting hairs. Can we do less Apex events? I know we can't have everything. Just less Apex events. Give me a couple less with this.
I can agree with the MMA guru here. See, when he's talking about making the cards better, if you had less fighters, you could promote the fighters better. Therefore, you would have more stars. I'm not saying there isn't any stars. The MMA guru says there's only Ilya Topuria, a good friend of mine. There's Sean O'Malley. There's Marab. There's this. There's Strickland. There's that. There's... Okay.
This deal, give me a couple less. Give me 4 less a year. 4 less Apex events a year. Put the crowd in there for the other ones. I just feel like it's not a full arena. They don't fucking try to sell the fucking card because they know it won't sell. So, we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. This is going to be a we'll see kind of situation on how the UFC reacts to making this hell of a deal. Yeah, they were surprised that the UFC rights were not split up amongst different outlets. However, worth noting, no mention of Contender Series or Tough, for that matter, in the release. Don't worry, I don't think anybody wants Tough, okay? Even though this season's been good, they just had 2 robberies back-to-back. I ain't fucking interested in it anymore. No one's trying to fucking buy Tough. Paramount Plus is paying them an extra $700,000 on top of the $7 billion, so they wouldn't bring up the Ultimate Fighter. Dana White was there. What about Tough, you guys? We got DC and Chael on there this year. Come on. Juliana Pena was just a guest coach for crying out loud. Come on. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to tell Nina Drama. Don't forget to tell Nina Drama about the MMA Guru taunting Dana White. That's right. We need Nina Drama. We need Nina Drama in on this, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen.
What's it going to take, you guys? And I feel like they just said, yeah, shut up. We'll give you an extra 700K. Don't ever talk about power slap or tap ever again. Let us talk to Hunter Campbell. So we'll see. That's all the news. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. We'll see what happens with the UFC at Paramount Plus and CBS in general. Paramount in general. And we'll see what that does for the company. We'll see what it does. More affordable. Yes. Lower value? Don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm concerned. I feel like everything over the years has been going up in cost and down in value. Now they're just giving it to us for $8 a month. Intriguing stuff. We shall see. We shall see how the cards start looking. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how Dana White responds to the taunting. You may be looking at this video. You, the audience, may be looking at this video as a video that the MMA Guru is just talking about the $7.7 billion deal. The MMA Guru has had many videos that have a second meaning in them, ladies and gentlemen. Just like the Simon Feck does, ladies and gentlemen. The Simon Feck thing is not about views. It's been about a secret message behind every video. The MMA Guru does the same thing. Let's see what the MMA Guru and the Dana White war brings in the future, ladies and gentlemen. This is like a precursor to the MMA Guru versus Dana White. Big fight in the cage, ladies and gentlemen. Dana White, the MMA Guru's challenging you to a fight. What are you going to do about it? Step up to the plate, Dana White. Stay tuned to Simon Feck's The Rise and the Fall of the greatest MMA YouTuber of all time, ladies and gentlemen, the MMA Guru, the big fat tub of lard. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This was the precursor to the 48 one-hour-long episodes for the documentary of the MMA Guru, the big fat tub of lard, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck.